very important. I think the most important part is I think we get really confused between doing this and actually just being here. Just being here and having good posture and not being nervous, that is the first part of good body language. Because as much as you don't want to hear it, when you walk up the front of the stage, everyone's judging you. Before they've heard one word out of your mouth, they're judging whether you know the topic you're about to talk about. They don't even know the topic yet. If you walk up like this, like, I'm going to make the assumption that you don't know anything about what you're just going to say. Or that you're so completely nervous that you're going to be terrible trying to show it with me. It's the same thing with nervousness. I don't know if anybody else has noticed, but my name tag is upside down. So that is one thing also that you could say would be, well, that's just somebody being nervous. It's like, well, you know, and that's just appearance. That's your body. That's your language. Do I respect this person? They can't even get their name tag right set up. You know, and I'm supposed to listen to what they say and respect it and like their speech. Like, I don't really know if I've accomplished this person. So let me fix that front real quick. So again, body language is very important. From the moment you step out from your seat and get up to give a speech, it sets the stage. Like anything you do is just so increasingly important. It's facial expressions. You know, it's how you smile. It's even the passion you put in your voice. Like I know Patricia, like a couple weeks ago, you were giving a speech, and at the very end, you hit this like passion moment, and we could all feel it because your body language and everything changed. It was like, oh wow, like she's totally into it now. Okay, now I'm totally into it. You know, and it's that kind of thing. It's like that passion. I was talking to Vince the other day, and we were talking about some of the characters and the actors that we thought were really good. It's like, okay, we said Robin Williams, Jim Carrey, and it's like, okay, well, why are they such good actors and such good comedians? It's not always with their words, you know. It's with it is with their facial expressions. It's with the subtle changes of the mouth and of the cheeks and how that changes. You know, so that's why it's very, very important. To have good body language. You can say the exact same thing and have an audience rolling on the floor and think you're amazing. Or it's like, it was okay. So I don't know if there's another great episode if you ever get a chance to MASH. I don't know if anyone ever watches MASH 477. But there's a great episode with Hawkeye. I think it was Hawkeye and BJ. And Hawkeye told a joke and no one laughed like him. And then BJ retold the same joke and everybody's rolling on the floor. You know, it's the same thing. It's all about the presence and the presentation. So I sort of wanted to demonstrate for you guys real quick. We usually start off the meeting with a joke, so I wanted to start you off with one. So in this version, actually I'm going to go two versions. In the first version, I'm just going to read it to you. The second version, I'm going to act it out. Some of you have actually seen this before, so I apologize, but hopefully this is funny at the same time as the listeners. I had a near-death experience that has changed me forever. The other day I went horseback riding. Everything was going fine until the horse started bouncing out of control. I tried with all my might to hang on, but was thrown off. Just when things could not possibly get worse, my foot got caught in the stirrup. When this happened, I fell head first to the ground. My head continued to bounce harder as the horse did not stop or even slow down. Just as I was giving up hope and losing consciousness, the Walmart manager came in the play. It's okay, you guys can actually laugh out loud. But okay, so that is like non-body language, but there's so much you can do with that joke. So, let's see if I can do version 2, which is like a lot more entertaining. So you'll never believe this. Yesterday, I had a near-death experience. It changed my life forever. So I was just doing my thing. I was minding my own business. I just felt the need, so I started riding my horse. I was riding my horse, you know, I was feeling like I was out in the country. I was having a great time. And then I got bounced off. It was terrible. But my foot got something to screw. I just couldn't get away. I was trying so hard. And my head just kept banging on the floor. I was like, no, this is going to end. Just let me go unconscious. Oh, thank God. The Walmart manager showed up and unplugged it. Now I can get out of the chair.
Another near-death experience.
That's right, another near-death experience. So that is two ways you could tell the same exact joke. And I hope you felt it was a better joke the second time than it was the first. Otherwise, it's pointless and nobody should be hearing it. So that is just what I want to share, just a little quick into that. And I think, Jason, you have our next topic.
Yep.
I believe. And the question he was answering, I'll let you take.
The question was, techniques for managing nervous body language. I always get dinged a lot because I'm a little more gregarious with my hand signals. I've been accused of flapping my wings just like Dave was a little earlier. But I also believe it's better to be over the top than it is to be back here in the corner, hiding out. As Dave pointed out, would you believe somebody who's sitting here in the corner? Would you give them more props? How about Dave was doing this earlier? He was on the table here like this, swinging his feet. Would you believe somebody who did that while they're giving a speech? So body language is very, very important. Everybody gets nervous. When I first started with Toastmasters, I couldn't get 2 words out of my mouth. It was impossible. Well, why do people become so nervous when it comes to giving a speech? And it's because of stress. The stress of messing something up. So how do you overcome that? And there's a lot of nervous body habits. There was a politician last week who stood up at the podium fanning his shirt. Kept doing this the whole time. There's the pros, people who just sit like this the whole time. Dave, when he was up here telling his joke, he kept wringing his hands. Those are all nervous body habits. And how do you overcome them? To control your stress. Go for a walk. We have a nice area out here. If you were to go for a walk just minutes before you walk in this room, probably would reduce your stress level. You know, a nature walk. You could probably walk all the way to the end of the theaters down there, and maybe they have an early show going on. Doubt it. Might be cool. Or you could see leftover popcorn from last night. Might be cool to see. Call a friend. Do something to take your mind off of your speech. Your speech is, obviously you spent time preparing for it, so obviously you know about it. So if you take your mind off the speech, you're probably going to be more successful in getting out your information or what the purpose of your speech. Some people like to write in journals. They can write about what their speech is going to be about. They can talk about the stress they're having. I've even seen a presenter before talk about how nervous he is being up here. Last year there was an induction into the NBA Hall of Fame. There was a guy by the name of George Gervin. And he stood up there and the first words out of his mouth was, "This is my worst nightmare." Being in front of an audience and speaking to them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slow down, see if I can prevent my heart from beating out of my, and relax. He says, I'm going to enjoy this moment. And it was the honest to God truth. It was his way of conveying, hey, I'm nervous, I'm upset. but I'm going to come overturn this and I'm going to entertain you. And he did. He did. He gave a fabulous speech. You know, there are many, many ways. Play with a pet. Work in your garden. Go get a massage. That would be like my worst nightmare. Somebody else touching me? How about curl up with a good book? You know? So a lot of people in this room probably prepare for their speech the night before. Curl up with a book. After you reach your point where you think you're prepared, curl up with a book and read a book. Something just to eliminate problems. Other people like to get a set of headphones. Crank the music up as loud as they can and try to bust a move. That would be another one of my worst nightmares. You guys wouldn't want to see that. That wouldn't be pretty. Or lastly, watch a comedy. There are many, many good movies that will take your mind away, especially if you like horror movies, where in horror movies, everybody seems to make the worst decisions possible. So that way you can sort of laugh at them and make fun of them as they're making the worst decisions possible. But more importantly, the biggest thing is when you're up here, you're nervous, just think of everybody as naked. If everybody's naked in front of you, hey, I'm clothed, I'm good, I don't have any problems right now. So the most important thing is, especially in Toastmasters, everybody is nervous when they first come into a Toastmasters meeting. We had a first-time speaker, not in this group, but it was another group I went to, just for fun kicks. It was a Friday night, didn't have anything to do. So I went to this other Toastmaster group, and the speaker was giving her icebreaker speech. And the poor gal sat behind the podium, terrified. And you could just see that she was vertically challenged to begin with, but all you could see was the top of her eyes over the top of the podium. And once again, that was her coping strategy, was to stay behind the podium the whole time, grasping it like she is human, and that if she lets go, she's going to die. So just remember, everybody's here. We're all here for a reason. And then the one reason is to become better. So if you become better as a speaker, your stress level, the intensity of the speech will all meld and relax away. You guys? Who's going to give a speech next week? Vince! Anybody else? Well, all of us enjoy it. I personally enjoy. Several years ago, like I said, this was my worst nightmare. This truly was my worst nightmare. But I have since overcome it. And now when I give speeches, I didn't spend any time preparing for this. I did a little research on the internet, and I've come up here and just talked about it. Because I have the confidence that, one, I'm not going to make a fool of myself. Well, I do that all the time anyway, so that doesn't matter anyway. So, but more importantly, I just have the confidence that I can do this. And that's part of what Toastmasters is all about. Just gaining the confidence to come up here, minimal research, and giving a speech, and letting everybody, and portraying what you want to convey. Anything else to add, you guys? Vince?
Nice.
Big words?
No, that was good. Not big words.
I got one suggestion.
Sure.
If you know what you're talking about, just say to yourself, I know what I'm talking about. Because you lose most of the best speeches are from people who know what they're talking about. And you probably do a really good speech.
And reality is, especially in the icebreaker, they're your own personal stories, so you've lived through them. So you know the stories and what they're about. Same as work. If you have to give a canned, topic on what your division is or where it's at, you know where you're at. You know the information. You just gotta portray it and give it out.
There's one other.
Yeah.
I was looking up interview techniques, for being interviewed, because
Right.
I don't like talking to people I don't know. And confident body posture until you're ready to go talk to whoever it is. So I was standing in the parking lot over here like a superhero. I'm sure the security was looking at the cameras like, what is this lady doing? Just standing like a superhero next to my car until I was like, yeah, I'm good. And then I went, case number.
There's another great way. You know, I'm Superman. Superman of interviews.
I think there's actually a physical, did you put your arms, there's
Yeah.
some study.
Okay, so don't laugh too bad. So I'm standing next to my car out there like this, just looking at the air like, I can take off any minute.
Nah.
And you just stand like that, or whatever pose makes you feel confident, and you just wait until you do it.
Great example.
Or if you would, I guess.
I've never done it, but I read it. It was like, did they say 5 minutes or like a long
Just
time? And it
until
was a
you
gender
feel
thing,
like
too.
until you feel you're ready to do it. Like some people obviously gonna take longer than others, but I was like not thinking about what time. I wasn't gonna check
How'd
my
you
phone. Oh, I got it.
It works.
Yeah. Well, little thing, it's whatever.
There are a lot of suggestions, a lot of ways to deal with it. We went through it. We had a great suggestion. Everybody's going to deal with it differently than I am. Dave is, Vince is, Grace is. Everybody's going to deal with it differently. So, but it's all about stress management when it comes to speaking. If you can overcome the stress, you're going to be a very successful speaker. Dave? Who's next?
I think I don't know. Yep, carried we are.
Ah,
We're so good we can fly by the seat of our pants. That's fun. So the next one, one of these I already discussed. The body language alternatives to express the same message. That was one of our questions. And I hope that got conveyed in the joke, because of course I had the exact same message, but I was interactive, I was falling over a chair. I was doing a bunch of stuff to make you see, actually better visualize my message. Instead of just me standing here spouting something, you're like, okay, I'm gonna fall asleep now. So that I was going for, and that, I mean, I know that's an extreme, but anything you can do to move around and do something to engage your audience is always a good thing, because just standing here is a terrible, terrible thing. And that's part of it too. The next one was, how does body language impact your audience? The biggest thing with your audience is just keep them engaged. If you're just standing in front of a podium. If you're just standing in front of a podium and that's how you're doing, you got your hands on the side and you're spouting off about anything you're talking about, I'm the first one who's going to fall asleep. You guys should see me at Goldberg Auditorium. I literally take naps at some of these meetings because I can't stay awake because they're just standing there and boring me out of my mind. But they're doing that because they're just standing here. You know, if they actually moved around a little bit, maybe came forward to the audience, maybe actually asked the audience a question, and felt engaged, it would be different. You know, I could see that they had confidence. I could see they knew their topic. Well, sometimes. Of course, the other times when they just read off the PowerPoint, it's the same sort of issue. It's like, oh, please, the PowerPoint you need to read, not for you. So, but that's the same thing. I mean, that's about knowing your topic. You know, even if you're using PowerPoint, you should know that PowerPoint so well that you don't even have to look at it. You're just clicking on the side for the audience, like, hey guys, oh, that's what we're talking about now? All right, let's do this. And you can start talking, moving around the stage, and again, interacting with your audience. Because that's what we want to see. We don't want to see someone standing there and boring us out of our minds. You know, we need to see movement in his eyes. We need to see passion. You know, again, I come back to you, Patricia. Like when you had that passion, my interest level like jumped like 10 levels. I was like, wow, she's passionate. Okay, I better wake up because this is actually important. This is we're getting the point that's really important to her. So I need to wake up as an audience. You know, it's the same thing when you're doing stuff, when you're moving, when just giving something for people to look at, giving something for eyes to follow. Because even just standing here, your eyes just start to droop. Because you're like, okay, just move, and I'll like, oh wait, you know, because at least if you move, it's like, oh, what is he doing? Why is he doing it? maybe I should stay away from this. You know, instead of just standing in the same spot and just making you fall asleep. So, hopefully, that's why body language is important to the audience. Biggest, keep everybody awake. Keep them awake, keep them engaged. You know, that's why you need to have body language speech. So, I know it's entertaining. Yeah, and like I said before, from the very beginning, you know, it is that posture and everything you do, like you did for your interview. Like you had the courage. They knew you walking in the room. Hey, this lady thinks she knows her stuff. We better pay attention to her. You know, because somebody's like, "Hi, how's it going? I'm Dave." So, "Hi, how's it going? I'm Dave." Like, they're like, "Oh, hey, this person thinks he has some energy and courage, and he thinks he can actually do this. Maybe we should pay more attention to this guy." Same on stage, same anywhere else. It's all about that presence. You walk in with presence, you get more respect. So, thank you.
One thing I want to suggest here, you guys,
Yes.
is that when Dave's talking about moving, move with a purpose.
Yes.
Because when I first started speaking, I was moving because I was stressed. So I was like pacing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So move with a purpose.
Yeah, and that's actually, I think we did a short topic on that. That is actually blocking. So like you're talking about your school, maybe you'll be over here. Or, well, let's make it simple. You're talking with your kids. You're on this side of the stage. So that everybody knows, oh, okay, he's talking to his kids. You know? Then you walk over this page, this side of the stage, oh, he's talking to his grandparents. Or his parents, like, okay, so that's their side of the stage. So you sort of make an area for each side, okay? Well, he's at the front of the stage. Oh, he's talking to his boss now, or his wife, whichever one that is. So, you know, like, and that's sort of the movement. It's like, it gives people an idea of where you're at and who you're talking to. That's all about blocking. But that is very true. You should move with purpose. Yeah, you don't just want to do. Because then it's just distracting. You gotta try to have a purpose. Move a little bit, but you just try to have a little purpose.
Can you give us a story to demonstrate that? You're talking to your boss, and then you go home and you have to pick up the kids and take them home, and then you have to talk to your wife, and then you have to put the kids to bed, and then you have to talk to your wife again.
All right. So I came to work today, talking to my boss, mad at me as always, because I didn't turn in a grade report. Well, today was the day. He let me go. He fired me. He said, "We no longer work for the state. You can actually be fired, so you're fired." So then I had to go home. Honey, so sorry. I got fired today. You what? Yeah. But let me go put the kids to bed because I don't really want to have this conversation with the kids awake. Hey Parker, hey Max, nice to see you guys. You know, it's time to go to bed. Okay, Daddy. Here, we'll sing you a song real quick. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Now I know my ABCs. Good night. So as I was saying, I got fired today. So this is gonna be great. It's gonna be so great, honey. I am now a stay-at-home dad. I know you've always wanted to be stay-at-home mom, but yeah, that's gonna be my job. So sorry. Love you. So, okay, so that's like a quick example of blocking it in different areas, because hopefully you guys knew, okay, front was boss. When I was going back over here the second time, you knew, okay, that's the wife's spot. So that's a quick example, thank you, John, on blocking. And of course, that was by the seat of my pants. I was flying on that one. It was not today. Okay, so next I was going to talk to you with Vince, because I think these go really well together. The next three questions really go really well together. which are what you should or should not do while making a presentation. What is good body language and what is bad body language, and when it becomes too much body language and distractful. So Vince, you want to join me?
Sure.
So the very simple short answer about what you should or should not do while making presentations is you should do what makes you feel comfortable, but also keeps the audience engaged. You know, you don't want to be going so unbelievably crazy, which would become distractful, but you don't want to do so little that I'm not awake. So you have to find balance within that speech.
I'd like to do what politicians do. We've been seeing a lot of politicians on TV. Did you watch them last night? Because there was a beautiful example of body language last night. And what a politician does is he hears a question and he just answers it with whatever happens to come to mind. And so we've got 3 questions to deal with. And I'd like to just talk about something that I know a little bit about. I studied linguistics in college, and I know that the body is really important, but you see, it's not so important to me. If it was the most important thing, then I would have signed up for Pantomime Masters International, or what do they call it when people get up? Charades. Charades International. But I'm interested in speaking, and so the question for me is, how do I speak about things that are important to me and just be natural about it? And Hillary Clinton did a beautiful job doing that yesterday. But I was interested in what she had to say, as well as the other people, and so I didn't turn the sound off. Now, that's what you could do. The next time you're watching TV or hearing something interesting, you could turn the sound off and see how people conduct themselves. But linguists believe that there are 3 things that are taking place when you're speaking, and only one is the body. Okay? The other is your emotion, and the other is your intellect. That's all happening at the same time, and the mastery of this is to be able to coordinate all of that without falling down when you're giving a speech. Now, Toastmasters actually talks about body language. And that's where I had to go because, you know, I just get up, I'm interested in giving a speech with words. That's what I love to do. Maybe that has some feeling. And I wish I could get somebody else to deliver it. But I have no takers, so I have to get up and do it myself. Oh God, I lost my train of... My God, I've lost my train of thought. What do I do now? Hillary, yeah. And so Hillary was doing really interesting things. This isn't a very good transition, but I can take that. She talked about how people who are disparate, different, have opposing ideas, that if you really work together, you can get them to come together. Now, was that beautiful or what? If I had turned the sound off, I would have just seen this. And I would have known something. I wouldn't have known that she was talking about, you know, the political differences that people have in America right now, and how she believes that there has to be some kind of agreement between people to move ahead with our society. And she did a number of other things. Toastmasters call it the conventional gesture. That's, I've got 2 things to tell you, folks. Just 2. 1, oh, and I forgot the second. And she would do different things like this with her fingers. And she wasn't blocking, she was just kind of walking all over because part of the deal was that people were asking her questions. You know what? You're making me nervous. You as an audience, you're making me nervous. Because I'm not really well prepared to do this. So would you get in your listening stance? Toastmasters talks about having a speaking stance, but about having a balanced stance. So are you in your listening stance right now? What's it take?
Leaning forward.
Leaning forward, being tilted. I'm kind of tilted to begin with. I think I speak better from a tilt. And I listen better from a tilt. They know that about baseball players, that baseball players stand in certain stances because that's how they see the ball better. So I think that we all have a way of sitting when we're listening to people that makes us attentive. And so now I have to deal with the fact that I'm kind of lost in my speech, and I've lost your attention. Look, gone. What do I do now? Which was your question. What do you do when you're halfway through or 3/4 of the way through your speech and you know nobody's paying attention? It's one of those really conventional speech. It wasn't a fun speech. It wasn't an emotional speech. It was a speech about insurance or financial planning or about, you know, something that you have to know to go to the next step in your job, in the bureaucracy. Okay? Maybe not interesting to other people. What do you do when you've lost your audience? You asked the question. Did you have any ideas?
I usually have some kind of witty, sarcastic joke to wake them back up. But
That's a good idea. I
intonation,
don't have
that's
one of
probably a
those.
safer way to go.
What?
Intonation.
Oh, intonation. Okay.
Or I
like
would
you
focus
did.
on my interested ones, so when I speak, I look at the ones
That's
that
good.
are giving me good nonverbal back, and I ignore the honors.
Mhm. Okay, anything else?
Ignore the
See.
Maybe scene.
Make a scene, throw an eraser at a student. Right? I used to do that. So they talk about having a balanced stance when you're up in front. And I think what both of you talked about before is the way you approach your speech is going to determine how it comes off and the composure that you have throughout the speech. And you were really interesting because you got really even and measured at the end of your speech, and we're doing things like this. So I think, let's try that. Can you do that? How does that feel? Okay? Can you sit stably in your chair and go like that? It makes, ooh, I'm getting goosebumps. This reminds me of some of those classes that I taught at Sonoma State in the 60s. Come on, Sam, let me feel your energy. I think the most important thing about giving a speech and remaining composed and being able to be composed within your body is rehearsing it before you give it, okay? Not on the way to work, like at home. Actually write it out, read it to yourself, read it to a friend. And Toastmasters said, stand in front of the mirror. That will be one of the best ways for you to kind of edit yourself when it comes down to your body language and also your face. And that was one of the other beautiful things that Hillary did last night. And I'm not a particular, I haven't committed, okay? So this isn't a political thing. But people were throwing hard questions at her, and she never lost her composure because she was so well prepared. And so if you're giving a 5 or 7 minute speech, you can be well prepared, and you can be contained within your body. And I think all the things that you mentioned in preparation, whatever it takes to get into that space beforehand. I know that you're at work, most of you. So how do you do that? You can't necessarily go outside, you can't do that. So you have to find something else so that you're in that space before you give your speech, however that is. Thank you.
All right, so I think Jason was going next. He was tackling start of part 3. How to identify where a speech could be helped by incorporating body language.
First of all, Dave, I want to say, what a way to start off a meeting by being so athletic. That right there was a pretty cool body language technique. He was showing you doing something. Janet's gonna love this one. I gave a speech a couple years ago, a Pink Bunny speech.
my favorite speech.
Where I actually got on all fours and hopped across the floor. She loves that. She still talks about that to this day. And those are all gestures, what I call the position of power. You're in a position where you're able to convey a message. So you have a position of power right now where you can help your speech or you can hurt your speech by using gestures. Wringing your hands, probably a position of weakness. Since politics have been brought up, and not that I'm a political guy anyway, I'm not, but Donald Trump always uses his point the finger. Always. That's a position of power. He always has he used in his television show, he used the, "You're fired." And everybody, guess what? As David brought up, well, if he's asleep, you throw the eraser at somebody, well, that would wake you up really quick, especially if you were asleep over there. So that is another example of position of power. Vince's story of the hands coming together shows a sign of unity, shows a sign of strength, shows a sign of, I can make everything better for you guys. We're all going to come together and things are going to get much better. That would be a great technique to bring into a speech. If you can master body language, you can make your speech. You can become better. But if you retreat to the position of weakness, I've always had too long legs really to do that. But if you retreat to the position of weakness, you just gave the whole message of your speech away. So as you think about giving your speeches in the future, you think about incorporating stuff. Use the power positions. You can just Google messages of power or gestures of power. When I'm in a meeting, and Vince and I were talking about this earlier today, in my office we're actually having what we call an account breakup, which usually is pretty intense, and there's usually lots of negotiations on the other side of it, the back side of our original message. But in our meeting, in this meeting that I was just in yesterday, I sat in this meeting in a position of power. I sat like this. My hands up here like this. Because I wanted to pray that I knew the position I was in, what we were dealing with. I wanted to assume that I was confident in what I was hearing, what I was listening to. Even though I knew in that meeting yesterday, there's no way in heck we were going to continue writing this account. So, but just by conveying the message that I was listening, I was trying to help them, I felt powerful in that meeting by sitting in this position there, which gave me more and more confidence. So incorporation of body language, very important, super important. Everybody needs to be in a position of power. You're either in a position of power or you're in a position of weakness. That's just the way the business community is in general. Got anything, you guys?
Is power or weakness?
That would be weakness.
I would say so.
For those who didn't see what Janet did, she was twiddling her thumbs.
Or clicking your pen on the table while the other
That's
person's
something that
talking.
I do all the time. And if I brought my pen up because I was intending to play with it, and here you can squeak. That's one of my nervous habits that I do all the time. In fact, most of the times when I come to Toastmasters, I don't even bring a pen. But I knew I was going to probably make notes as Dave was talking.
I have picked on Jason and he stopped it, because he always used to start his speech by kind of low. And he didn't know he was doing it, and he stopped.
Or I call it a plie.
That's better.
Any other suggestions? Anything else anybody want to talk about?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Just from experience of giving speeches, not just within our club, but in our area, probably also our division, I've come to learn some little tips that I think has made me a little bit successful. One of those things goes back in line with what you talked about earlier about managing stress. And one of the tips, one of the things that I've come to be doing is at some point, just before you get up on stage, you kind of want to prepare your mind to think that, okay, I'm just going to make it seem like I'm talking to my body. Just kind of visualize who that your body is. Actually make it practical, as in, we all have friends. Let me just say, for example, a name, John. Maybe John is your friend that you can feel free and say anything to John. So you get up there, and as you're looking at the audience, you kind of want to make it seem as if John is right there, as if you're looking at John. At that spot, you will see how natural the speech will come across. It'll flow so natural, you'll get funny, because at the back of your mind, you're not talking to this audience, you're talking to John, and John is your buddy that you hang out with and play games with and just do things with. And when you do that, the whole stress just disappears. It just goes away. I've tried that so many times. Another thing that I've also learned, I think I actually heard this from a Toastmaster a couple of years back, is when you get up there, try to visualize what movie star that really impresses you the most. Just like Dave was saying, whether it's Jim Carrey or is it Robbins or something? Yeah. So you kind of put yourself like you are that person. Like you act it out. Like, okay, I'm gonna be Jim Carrey now. And you just kind of visualize how Jim Carrey does his facial expressions, his funny moves and everything, and you just act it out. At that point, you transition from being you to being Jim Carrey, and it works 100% of the time. I was thinking of something else that I've used that also works, but those two really stands out.
Remember one that you've done that is just so good. He was talking about his yard sale. Oh my gosh, this was one of the funniest speeches I ever heard. And rather than sitting in a lawn chair and lying back like this, like he was waiting for people to show up, he just put his arms behind his head and went, I was just waiting for people to show up. And you could picture him in the lawn chair just because I was just waiting for people to show up.
Yes.
Yeah,
Some
that was
of
so
our
funny.
actors that are on TV and movies produce the most greatest gestures you've ever seen. And
Yes.
you could easily incorporate it into your speeches.
Yes.
So if you see a good one that on TV, try to figure out a way to work it into your speech.
Yeah. Me personally, I've always liked Eddie Murphy and his mannerisms and how he says things. So sometimes when I get up on stage, I try to want to act like Eddie Murphy. Another thing that just came to my mind now is also before you get on stage, I'm sure we've all maybe practiced this one way or the other, is just before you start the speech, you kind of breathe in, and then just before you start that very first word, you now breathe out with that word. It just takes away the stress, it just keeps you grounded, and you just flow very, very naturally and smoothly. So just those 3 tips.
Movies are good examples. But movies are a very powerful way to incorporate them into your speech. You know, if you're talking about your family, you know, you could talk, you could love prose, where, you know, how you felt when your child was born, or, you know, any number of things like that. So, movies are a great way to bring in that language. Anything else?
I was thinking of one.
Yeah.
One that politicians do, public speakers do, is they look at people in their audience, but they don't keep their eyes running around like this and distracting everybody with the turning of their head or staring dead at one person the entire time they're talking. It's like they might look in this general direction, but they're looking kind of at these people, but not at them. I'm staring at you, so it's making that person in your audience uncomfortable, but your eyes keep on moving.
I would argue politicians, some of our politicians are probably the worst public speakers.
I really hate that.
We were, Vince brought up Hillary. Sometimes when Hillary speaks, her head's a bobblehead the whole time. That's all she does is just bobble her head the whole time. So, you know,
Some
once
of the
again,
good
there's a position of weakness. But all those people on stage have the confidence that they can convey the message to you. They may not be the best at everything, but they have an internal confidence that I can do this, and I'm going to make it happen.
think Vince was gonna bring us home with how to incorporate parts of your speech with body language.
I included that in the monologue that I did.
Oh, that's a part of the monologue. Oh man.
I'd like
And
to-
your part was in the monologue as well. So.
Can I bring up a subject
Yeah, give me 1 second.
very quick?
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to add real quick on Vince is about being distracting. I don't know if anyone's been to an area contest.
That's just what I was gonna talk
Mm.
about.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're doing it.
There is this one guy at the area contest who does body language with every single movement. I mean, sorry, that's a movement. With every single word. And it comes off so unbelievably rehearsed and staged.
Show us.
Okay, the man falls off his horse, and the crowd grabs him, strings a rope around his neck, hauls him off to a tree, and throws the rope over the branch and hangs him. Okay, I'm throwing cowboy background, guys. So,
All right, you'd have to give me piece by piece.
okay, the guy falls off his horse.
All right, hold on, of course.
The crowd grabs him, throws a rope around his neck. Don't forget the rope. Don't forget the rope. You have to have the rope around his neck. Drags him off to the tree. Okay, tree. Hauls him up, throws the rope over the branch, and hangs him. But it's really
Great.
seriously every single word.
Yeah,
It's not funny like that. It's every single word.
yeah. And it can get to be a little bit too much. So,
That's slapstick.
well, ours was, but he does a lot of the same thing.
It's all so artificial.
It comes off fake. Just make sure it doesn't come off.
There's folks that are waiting for
Okay,
us.
so thank you again. Thank you all for coming. Let's get out of here. Thank you.